There's one more concept that we'll look at that depends upon where a mass is located, and that's something called the center of gravity. Now, gravity acts on all points of an object, but we can act as if gravity acts as a single force at a particular location, and that location is known as the center of gravity. And this bottle, the center of gravity is right about here, and I know it's here because it's directly over the support point. And we have a symbol that we use in the chapter to locate the center of gravity of an object. And if the center of gravity is over a support point, then it's stable. We'll talk about that in more detail in Chapter 8, but we introduced the idea in Chapter 7. So if I have this object right here, I have a heavy ball on one end, I have a light fluffy ball on the other end. The center of gravity is right here in the center. The center of gravity is right here in the center. And I know that because if I take this object and I suspend it from this point, it's nicely balanced. And the center of gravity is closer to the heavy mass than it is to the light mass, which makes some sense. We'll give you some chances to do some center of gravity calculations in the chapter. We'll show you one important thing about center of gravity, and that's this. If I take this object and I throw it in the air, it goes up and comes back down again. But I'm going to throw it in the air and I'm going to spin it. I want you to watch the motion of this ball and watch the motion of this ball. See what you notice. So the center of gravity is a very, very important point on objects for motion. And it's also an important point for motion in ways we'll see next time, which is this. If you take a baseball bat and I balance it, it's pretty easy to balance it on the end. But it's much harder to balance it over here. That's actually quite difficult. This, rather straightforward. This, much more difficult, much more difficult. Why that is has to do with the position of the center of gravity of the baseball bat, but also with rotational motion that's produced by gravitational torque. That's